Hello and welcome back to Mac at the Movies. Today I'm bringing you another weekly movie review with the film Last Night in Soho. This film was released October 29th, 2021 by Film 4 Production and directed by Edgar Wright, who had directed one of my personal favorite films, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. He directed Baby Driver, which I haven't seen yet. I've listened to the soundtrack, but I haven't watched the movie yet. I've been told I need to. So that's coming up. At some point in time, I will watch that movie. But he did that End of the World trilogy with Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, where they did Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and At World's End, as well as the recently released the Sparks Brothers documentary. If any of y'all like music, especially obscure music, I would definitely recommend checking that one out. That was a lot of fun to go through, and you get a lot of artists discussing how they were inspired by the Sparks Brothers or how they found the Sparks Brothers, and it was a lot of fun. It's on Netflix right now, so if you have that, I definitely recommend checking it out. Again, if you're into obscure music, I know the first time I had heard the Sparks Brothers was in Valley Girl. They had that song Monster of Love, and I ran out and bought the soundtrack. I had that song stuck in my head, and it wasn't on the soundtrack, so I ended up having to I couldn't find the album that it was on. Found it on iTunes and bought it there so I could listen to it, and it was a lot of fun. However, it was on the soundtrack, the vinyl release, on record, so I don't know why it was on one but not the other, but I digress. He also directed the short mini clip trailer in between Planet Terror and Death Proof for the film Don't, the make-believe film Don't. Like, if you see a haunted castle on a cliff and you want to go find out what's in it, don't. It was a lot of fun. I remember that one in Thanksgiving. I definitely wanted movies for. Those two were great. I think they had a machete one in there, and I think, what was it, Robert Rodriguez, I think, did that one, made that into a real movie. So definitely a lot of fun there. And if any of you remember the TV series Spaced, I believe it was a British show starring Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. That was a fun show. I remember watching that about a bunch of people living in flats, and it was a bit of a flat life scenario. What's going on in this one building with these particular people. It was a lot of fun. It's something I need to revisit, maybe find it on DVD somewhere and give it a go. But that's, Edgar Wright. This film stars Anya Taylor-Joy as Sandy, Thomasin McKenzie as Eloise, Matt Smith as Jack, and Michael Adjeo as John. This film starts out with Eloise, dancing in her bedroom, doing a bit of a fashion show, because she is highly interested in the world of fashion. You see her grandmother come there, and she's living with her grandmother in South England, and she's just, dying to get out and see what the world has to offer. And by world, I mean, I guess just England as a whole. Going to, she applied to fashion school in London, where you find out she got accepted, and her grandmother's worried because her mother went to fashion school in London, and it didn't turn out so well. In the end, you find out that, well, not in the end, at the beginning of the movie, I'm not spoiling anything really, but her mother killed herself, and so she's constantly haunted in a good way by the ghost of her mother, trying to lead her in a better direction, like she's watching over her, a guardian angel, if you will. And you see that drive that was most likely there with her mom, and you get from her grandmother telling stories, things like that about her. But she gets accepted into London, and even with her grandmother's protest not to go, she goes. She meets her roommate, who you find out is just a real... She got on my nerves the entire movie. There's one scene I'm not going to spoil, where I laughed hysterically something that happens in the library. And I thought it was just too good, because it was like something happened inches away from something bad happening. And you know, when you get that feeling like, I really want something bad to happen to that mean person, it almost did. It was it was good. I had a bit of a chuckle with that one, even though it was a bit of a serious moment. You know, it was a bit of Schadenfreude. So, you know, it was one of those things. But, you know, Eloise is in school. She has this pain in the neck roommate. She has to get out. She can't stand, like, the roommate talks crap about her. You know, she talks about how, Eloise talks about how her mom died, she killed herself, and her roommate thinks she's just trying to get attention, and she's some coked out hillbilly or something like that. The roommate herself is constantly after attention, but then sort of points it in other directions, and in this case Eloise. And there's this constant conflict between those two in this film. You know, just your normal classroom rivalry. But this film sort of goes into a different direction when she moves out. She finds a woman who has an apartment for rent, and she goes there, gets the apartment, goes out, finds a job, and is trying to get out on her own and just be herself in this world, reinvent herself into the image that she wants to be. One thing that starts to happen is at night in her dreams, they become a bit of a wonderland, a vision, like a view into the past, into this world, following this girl Sandy, who you find out was, you know, this person with high ambition, and nothing really worked out for her. But you start to kind of see this glitz and glamour life coinciding with this, you know, seedy underbelly of the world. And the character of Eloise is just seeing all this, and you start to find out that there's a bit of a murder mystery going on here in her dreams, that her dreams and her reality are starting to intertwine. And the rest of the film is her with this drive to find out who murdered this girl. She has an idea who did it, but she doesn't know who did it. She's trying to find out. And so it sort of turns into this like murder mystery / horror film, like halfway through the movie. So it sort of threw me off when I started seeing that it had a lot more horror aspects to it than it did like thriller. So I really liked that. I'm a huge fan of horror, and it made me feel like I wasn't breaking my only horror for October rule. So it was a lot of fun. And if any of you out there have seen it, I mean, let me know what you thought about the horror aspect of this film. I really liked it. There were a couple of jump scenes that did really well. It got the theater going. It was a lot of fun. But you know, it's definitely a good movie. I really liked this one. I talked with some friends, some of which thought that Thomason, I guess, portrayed Eloise as a more spastic person, but I think she needed to be, because she moved from what was essentially a very sheltered, small community life to London. And I mean, those are two dynamically different cities. And when all you've known is this one little bit your entire life, and you flip that switch to a completely different lifestyle, I mean, it's going to be shocking to the system. So I don't see that her being spastic was a bad choice in character acting there, because I think that might be what would happen. I mean, I've seen people spaz over far less. So I think it was a great way to portray that character, and, you know, taking her out of her element and then really shocking the system. So it was a lot of fun there, a lot of fun with that. All in all, I can't see anything wrong with this film, really. I definitely rated a solid 5 stars out of 5. It was a great film. I definitely plan on revisiting it, and I want to see it again in the theater. I can't remember if I said in the beginning, but I went to go see it at a local art house theater on 35 millimeter, and I don't know if, the film got, a loop got sucked in the projector and it caused the reel to skip and then stop the movie, but they had to stop the print and I guess work on that, so we finished it in digital, which was fine. I still got to see the movie, but I wanted to see it in 35 millimeter. I still feel like movies should be shown in film, but it's crystal clear HD, 4K, 8K, whatever. That's the world we're going in. So, and I'm sure with this film and a lot of the colors, I'm sure they pop a lot more, but I feel like it's going to be more warm when watching it on 35 millimeter. So I'm definitely going to have to get back out there and try and see it on film before it leaves the theater. But definitely a lot of fun. If anyone out there has seen this movie, jot down in the comments below, did you like it? Are you a big fan of Edgar Wright? What movies of his have you seen and that you love? And jot that all down in the comments below. If you like this video, smash that thumbs up. And thank you for stopping by. As always, be good to one another. Drink your coffee. And I'll see you next time. Bye.